Joe Biden would be the most progressive president since FDR.
Surplus military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood. It's like the military invading. They don't know anybody. They become the enemy. They're supposed to be protecting these people. So my generic point is that...
Can we agree that we can redirect some of the funding?
Yes, absolutely.
People say, well, Joe, how are you going to do all this? Well, guess what? First thing I do is going to repeal this Trump tax cut. Oh, not a joke.
I'm supporting NAFTA because I think it is a positive thing to do.
Joe Biden was a champion of China's entry into the World Trade Organization, which has since caused the loss of 60,000 American factories.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Vice President Biden, I'd like to ask you, 3 consecutive American presidents have enjoyed stints of explosive economic growth due to a boom in oil and natural gas production. As president, would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes.
This is the worst economic recovery America has ever had.
If I'm president, Betsy DeVos's whole notion from charter schools to this are gone.
Joe Biden proudly said bingo when asked if a Biden administration would mean they're gonna come for my guns.
Abortion is an essential healthcare service.
Here's another reason why you shouldn't vote for Jim Crow Joe.
Why?
He said if we don't vote for him, we ain't black. Last time we checked, we black.
That's right.
No new fracking.
Joe Biden supports open borders, which would increase crime and make our communities less safe.
Should undocumented immigrants arrested by local police be turned over to immigration officials?
No.
Under Joe Biden, American citizens would be forced to pay for free community college and health care for illegal aliens.
The Biden economy failed to bring back American manufacturing jobs, losing 192,000 manufacturing jobs on his watch.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Joe Biden called President Trump's life-saving travel restrictions at the beginning of coronavirus irrational and hysterical xenophobia.
You're going to take care of the gun problem with me. You're going to be the one that leads this effort.
Joe Biden, the guy hides in his basement so we can avoid questions about being a puppet for the far left.
My proposals on education, climate change, healthcare are as radical and change-driven enough as anybody else's plan.
Joe Biden's tax plan would eliminate hundreds of thousands of jobs and gut our economy.
Joe Biden oversaw the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression.
No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were.
Joe Biden voted for the war in Iraq that cost thousands of American lives and trillions of dollars.
Yes, and by the way, in prison, the determination should be that your sexual identity is defined by what you say it is, not what, in fact, the prison says it is.
The Obama-Biden administration imposed almost $1 trillion in job-killing regulations.
China is not our enemy. China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man.
Joe Biden has parroted the Communist Chinese government's talking points to undermine the coronavirus response.
No one's going to build another coal burning. We've got to shut the ones down we have. But no one is going to build a new one.
Joe Biden wants to eliminate American energy independence.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends.
We need to spend a whole lot of money to deal with global warming. The idea that we're going to be able to go out there and not do anything and not spend over $1 trillion over the next 10 to 15 years to deal with this is just simply wrong.
Here's why you shouldn't vote for Joe Biden.
Why?
Because he's been in government for over 47 years and he hadn't done anything for the betterment of America.
That's right.
Joe Biden would ruin our energy independence, cost 10 million Americans their jobs, while massively driving up the cost of heating and cooling your home.
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon.
Joe Biden would flood the courts with liberal activists who would trample over our Constitution.
Joe Biden believes that the government should make your health care choices, and he would take away your private health insurance options.
Sleepy Joe Biden weaponized the intelligence community against private citizens over politics. I felt it, you've seen it. The fact that they could do this to people for supporting a candidate for office is unfathomable in this great country. This is what takes place in third world dictatorships. Joe Biden cannot be given the privilege to get back to the White House.
It was on this day, 1987, after allegations of plagiarism, that Joe Biden told the Washington Press Corps he was ending his very first presidential bid and turning his focus back to the Senate.
Joe Biden sides with the Cuban communist regime and not with the Cuban people.
Joe Biden is a serial plagiarist with no authenticity.
It costs money. My plan costs a lot of money. It costs $740 billion. Over 10 years.
Would you go back to the Obama policy with regard to Cuba if you were reelected, or you were elected president?
Yes, I would. In large part, I would go back.
14 million hardworking Americans left the workforce under the Obama-Biden administration, and nearly 800,000 fell into poverty.
Here is another reason why you should not vote for Jim Crow Joe. Why? Because he pushed a racist, bigoted crime bill decimating black families, giving them no chance.
That's right.
Joe Biden unmasked General Flynn during the all-important time of the transition period from Election Day to Inauguration Day.
Biden helped negotiate the horrendous Iran deal, which gave the regime billions in cash while still allowing them to develop nuclear weapons.
You asked the third part of your question related to whether or not we don't need a wall.
Joe Biden promised to restore hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to the World Health Organization, despite the fact that the WHO lied to the world and covered up the spread of coronavirus, all to appease communist China.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No.
When asked whether or not we should defund the police, Joe Biden's response was yes, absolutely. As a U.S. Senator, Joe Biden called gays and lesbians an intelligence security risk.
I said we owe the man a direct answer. Mr. President, my suggestion is don't go.
Joe Biden couldn't support the killing of Osama bin Laden.
Joe Biden will not protect our cities from violent protesters.
Joe Biden opposed the military strike that killed Qasem Soleimani, a brutal terrorist responsible for the deaths and wounding of thousands of Americans. Joe Biden was the chief cheerleader on the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal that would have killed 448,000 American jobs and shrunk the economy.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. We want to see China rise.
Joe Biden cozies up to brutal dictators like Nicolas Maduro, who oppresses the Venezuelan people.
Joe Biden abandoned our brave men and women in blue who keep us safe every day.
Joe Biden conspired with the intelligence community to launch the witch hunt and unmask General Flynn to destroy him.
I'm going to send to the United States Congress an immigration plan to provide a pathway for legalization for 11 million undocumented people.
Joe Biden believes children in America should be denied the right to a quality education because of their zip code.
Unchain Wall Street. We're going to put you all back in chains.
The black unemployment rate under the Obama-Biden administration averaged a horrific 12.8%.
Biden, bin Laden wrote, is totally unprepared for that post, which will lead the U.S. into a crisis.
Under Joe Biden, there would be a massive explosion of immigration, introducing more competition for our jobs that will worsen unemployment and depress wages for American workers.
Joe Biden and his administration decimated our great hardworking members of the military. They depleted the staff there. They depleted our resources. And it's only because of Donald Trump that our brave men and women who fight for us every day get a pay raise and have the tools they need to continue to be the greatest fighting force in the world.
This is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me.
Joe Biden lied about being arrested while trying to visit Nelson Mandela in South Africa.
I've spent more time, allegedly, with Xi Jinping than any world leader has before we left office. Department, I had 25 hours of private dinners with him. And for real.
Joe Biden stands with Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion provider in the U.S., and does not protect the unborn.
Would you simply reinstate the Iran nuclear deal?
I would reinstate the Iran nuclear deal.
Only President Trump will defend our police. We know that Joe Biden wants to defund our police.
Arizona is very much in play in 2020, so we appreciate you taking some time to talk to the people of our state.
Oh, it's an important city. You guys are going through hell right now, aren't you? Well, yeah, you do, but
Joe Biden has admitted that many Americans were left behind during his pathetic economic recovery.
How can Joe Biden lead our nation when he cannot even get through a softball interview, let alone take tough questions?
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
Joe Biden will side with the teachers' unions over the well-being of our children.
Joe Biden would order a 100-day halt on deportations of all illegal aliens, including violent MS-13 criminals.
I tried with Senator Grassley back in the 80s to freeze all government spending, including Social Security.
Under Joe Biden, the United States would have a higher corporate tax rate than communist China.
Anyway, my time's up. I'm sorry.
Joe Biden was the architect of the 1994 crime bill that locked up hundreds of thousands of black men.
I didn't realize he was on the board till after he'd been on the board.
Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night.
While violent left-wing mobs set fires to police buildings, federal courthouses, and city halls, Joe Biden accused law enforcement of stoking the fires of division. Pathetic.
So if you make your money by clipping coupons on the street, you should be paying at the rate of tax that you are. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
Joe Biden voted for the disastrous North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, that killed 850,000 U.S. jobs.
Joe Biden is demonizing law enforcement, labeling them as the enemy.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Joe Biden will increase taxes on 82% of Americans.
Fellas, it's very simple. Because he's not Donald J. Trump.
Because he's not Donald Trump.
Because he's not Donald J. Trump.
Because he's not Donald J. Trump.
Because he is not Donald Trump.
Because he's not Donald Trump.
Because he's not Donald J. Trump.
Because he's not Donald J. Trump.
Joe Biden would be the most progressive president since FDR.
Surplus military equipment for law enforcement. They don't need that. The last thing you need is an up-armored Humvee coming into a neighborhood.